Good evening. Tonight we have a very special computer here because it's pretty rare. This happens to be a Dell Precision mobile workstation M4300. It runs Windows XP and did support Windows Vista, but it has a common problem that plagued old Dells of this era, and that's that the screen, when it's open, is all wibbly wobbly like that. Now it'll stay, it'll work, but it's loose, and you'll see that it kind of wants to just fall once it hits a certain point. I've never taken one of these apart because they're pretty rare. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the hinges and see if we can do anything about that. So what we need to do is remove the LCD bezel here, and you'll see there's these little rubber bumpers. There's a whole series of them here, 6 of those, and here there's 2 little like plastic covers, and there may be one here, I'm not sure. We'll get to that when we get to that. For these here, these are pretty big, so you could actually just put your fingernail in them and you just peel them off. You may ultimately need to get some sticky adhesive for it called adhesive transfer tape, but we'll worry about that later if we do need it. Most of the adhesive on these seems to be staying on the screws, which in general will hold them again without much trouble. This one, it actually came along with the little bumper. Some will stay, some won't. It really all depends. So we're just going to peel these off. Now you'll notice I'm putting them on the palm rest here, which is fine, but you do want to be very careful because as you see, they just kind of really move around if the adhesive does not stay with them, and as such you will lose them, and these have a tendency to roll quite a distance away. It'll be very hard to find them. So what I recommend that you do is, after you get that, just take some regular old Scotch tape. We'll get a piece of that here, and what you can do, this was already all set, just fold the edge over onto itself so you'll have a pull tab, and you can simply tape that down like that so you won't lose them. Okay, now we have to get at these here. Now these here have a there's a little notch. Best tool I found is just to use a plain old little razor blade, something like this, and you just kind of want to dig right underneath it. You want to try not to damage them if you can. This one seems to be a little recalcitrant. It's coming. There we are. So we'll put that one there, and that doesn't want to stay, so again, be careful, especially again if you're wearing long sleeves. That can most certainly take a walk. Well, let's turn this way. This being an older unit, this adhesive is not in the best condition either, so there we are. Okay, so we'll put that there, and we're going to tape that down as well so we don't lose that. So again, just take a piece of Scotch tape, fold the edge over onto itself, and just tape it down. That way we won't lose them. You will need a Phillips screwdriver, and we're now going to go ahead and remove these screws. I expect they're all the same size, but again, I haven't taken one of these apart, so I really don't know. We're going to find out together if this can even really be done. These may be smaller. We'll know in a second here, just to compare. No, they're pretty much exactly the same size, so we can just continue taking all these out. And these up here. You can feel free to turn the laptop around if that makes it easier for you, but this is fine. Just check each screw if you're really not sure. These all appear to be the same size, so there shouldn't be any issue. Okay, so that's all set. And there is a little panel here. I don't know if it does need to come out or not, but again, we're going to find out. Now you have to take the LCD bezel off. This is held in by a series of clips around the perimeter of it. But you do need to be careful because these do have a tendency to break. If you do break them, you can use adhesive transfer tape to get the LCD bezel to hold on to the rest of the system better. Best way I found is start on the left side. If you're right-handed, you will need a little bit of fingernails for this. Dig your fingernails in between the screen and the bezel and just pry up. This happened to just come up real easy here, so that was in my favor, but you just work yourself around very slowly and carefully. If you have a latch like this, you'll have to move that to get it to go. And you're just going to work it around very slowly and carefully until the bezel comes off. Okay, now that we have that open, it looks like there are hinge covers over this, so I'm going to have to reassess and see exactly what we're going to do and how that comes apart. Actually, I believe this panel can pop right out, but let me just double check to see exactly how that works on this model, and I'll be right back. Okay, for this model it looks like there are a series of screws back here, and I don't know precisely if they do need to come out, but we're going to go ahead and take these out. Now, you want to keep these screws separate from the LCD bezel screws because they are different. On this model it looks like there's about 6. Paying attention again to make sure that all of these screws are the same, and it does look like they are on this one, so it's not a problem there. Okay, once you have those screws out, turn it back over. You put the screen all the way flat, and right over here there's a little notch, and you need to put some sort of blunt instrument in there and pry up on that. We're trying to get this piece out over here. You can use a flat blade screwdriver for that. You can also try to use your fingernails, but that's really what this is designed for, this clip here, so, I mean this recess, so we'll just lift that up, work our way across, and that's off. And it doesn't appear that anything can really be done with these particular hinges because they're kind of encapsulated in their little keepers here. So unfortunately it is what it is for this unit because there's nothing that can be done. The only thing I can do really, just as a saving grace of any kind, is we can tighten down these screws. Any others that you see. Being careful, of course, to not disturb anything else. And these are wireless antenna screws, so just tighten those while we're in here. There's some screws along here. Make sure all those are tight. Because nobody's ever in here, of course, so you never do know. And that's really that. So there's not really much else to play with on this one. It's just a fact of how they put it together. So unfortunately this particular model, there is no fixing of these hinges short of actually replacing them. Other models I have seen, they have like a nut on there, which is why I have a whole selection of pliers and all kinds of stuff. I was hoping that this one had that. But if it does have that, you'll have to hold one nut and tighten down the other one. You want to go very slowly and carefully with that, because if you over tighten it, the screen may actually creak and you may actually end up breaking the hinges or plastic on the laptop. While we're on the subject, the hinges are mounted, of course, to the laptop. This being an older model does not really suffer from that sort of plague, but a lot of other ones, you do want to make sure that the screws in the corners are always nice and tight. because otherwise the bottom case and the palm rest assembly can separate and you'll end up breaking them, and that usually ends up being a costly endeavor to replace. So really at this point what we're going to do is put the panels back, because there is not much else to do. So we'll just open this back up. This you put in the same way it came out, in reverse order. So you just kind of work that down in there, like that. Push down, push down, push down. And push down until that clips in. And now we're going to put the LCD bezel back on. Basically this just fits right over it. And you want to just try to line up these little screw holes and just push down all around. Again, if you found that you had broken some of the clips, you can use adhesive transfer tape, which you can just search for that at Walmart. They do sell it usually as a special order item. It's not terribly expensive, but incredibly handy, especially if you're into scrapbooking and that kind of stuff. And really at this point all we have to do is put these screws back. Now these are the screws for the LCD bezel, so we'll just go ahead. All of these were the same. So we'll go ahead and put these in. If I can get that lined up. There we are. Now, of course, if you wanted to replace the screen, you basically saw how to get at it, and you'd remove the screws that would hold the screen down. A lot of newer laptops only have maybe 2 in the bottom corners and 1 at each top corner. And then you can remove the back panel of the screen, well, the LCD back cover, disconnect the LVDS cable, and take the screws out of the hinges and go from there. This is when they used to know how to make laptops, so it has a much more involved mounting system for that. And this one I can't seem to get that way, so there we are. I just couldn't get straight on it. Okay, I'm going to put the bumpers on a little bit later. So we're just going to put these other screws back in. And there's not really much else to do with this one. This really just came in for not connecting to the internet. And I will show you how to try to combat that in just a moment. So I'm just going to finish up putting these screws in, and we'll see you in just a minute. Okay, now we're back. And this is adhesive transfer tape. This is made by 3M or Scotch. And it's adhesive transfer tape. This happens to be 3/4 inch wide. Comes on a big roll like this, and you'll pay 12 bucks, 15 bucks, something like that. They usually have shipped to store for free, and it is handy because basically what this is a backing, which is this brown stuff. And this stuff is the adhesive, and that just comes off real nicely, and it leaves a very thin layer. You can see what happened right here. This stuck to the Scotch tape because it has no adhesive left on it. So we're going to leave it on the Scotch tape like that. I'm just going to peel one off here. Get my fingers unstuck from that. And put it down. And now we're going to just get a little piece of this stuff. Just kind of tear it off, and you just end up with a little thing like that. Press it on there, and then just kind of work it onto the back of it. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I want to make it about as flat as possible. That, although it's not really that flat and nice. I could have certainly done a better job, but it should work just fine. And we're going to go ahead and see if we could just pop that in and see if it'll work. Sometimes you'll have to pick out some additional adhesive. You just scrape it off with your fingernail. And that one looks good, so that's fine. And this here, we're going to go ahead and take another little piece. Take this thing off. And just fold it onto it and stick her down. Well, this one, I probably want to put it on the other side because that's the prettier side. It's the pretty side out. And that's it. It just sticks right in there. The same thing goes with these, so I'm just going to go ahead and finish those up. And we'll see what other kind of service that this unit needs. Okay, here we are all booted up now. And the problem that this really originally came in for was that it wouldn't connect to the internet. Now the first thing is to, of course, make sure that all of the drivers are installed. This happened to be missing the Ethernet driver, but the user was complaining about connecting wirelessly, of course. The driver for that was installed, and you can see I am connected to the network, but when you would load Internet Explorer or any other web browser, what would happen is you would get something like a page cannot be displayed. There's a few things you want to do with that. Both require reboots. I've obviously already fixed this, so I'm not going to do either of them, but I'll show you how. You want to go to Control Panel, and this will work XP, this will work on Vista, this will work on 7, even on Windows 8. You want to go over to Internet Options, right over here. Double click on that. Go to Advanced, and you're going to click on Restore Advanced Settings, and then click on Reset, and you may need to check a few things off and click Reset on that, and then try opening your browser after that. If it works, great. If it doesn't, then you can try this. What you're going to do is you're going to hit Start, Run. In Windows XP, you can type in Command, and that's what I'm going to show you because that's what's here. And here we are at a command line. Now, the thing I'm going to type in here will not work unless you are at an elevated command prompt. And to do that, you need to press Control Alt E. Nothing will happen on the screen. Once you do that, you'll type in netsh, which stands for net shell, space winsock, space reset. Now I can do this here because it's not going to hurt anything. Everything's already running. Press enter, and it says successfully reset the winsock catalog. You must restart the machine in order to complete the reset. And from here, you can go ahead and type in exit, and then just go ahead and shut down and restart. And that's really all I had to do to get this one functional again. If that still doesn't work, you can try uninstalling and reinstalling the drivers for your network devices, or worst case, you may have to reinstall the operating system depending on how bad the problem is. Now I'm going to go ahead and load up this here just to show you the other problem. Even though Windows XP is dropping support, this only has Service Pack 2 on it, and it really should be Service Pack 3. So I'm going to go ahead and upgrade that and do some Windows updates, and that's pretty much it. Then it'll be functional as they need it to be. They're only going to be using this for a short period of time longer until they get rid of it, at which point it may become part of my collection, or they may just throw it out, or it may die before then. We don't know. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please click like and subscribe, because that lets me know I'm doing a good job and I can continue to provide videos of this caliber for you. Take care. Good night.